So video games are at their core experiences which are designed to be beaten, for the player to win, and during recent times beating games in certain ways usually rewards you with a special cutscene. But sometimes video games also offer a special incentive for the player to do the opposite, to lose in spectacular fashion. So let's take a look at them today. As I'm Jules, this is WhatCulture.com, and these are the 10 most entertaining bad endings in video games. Number 10. Everyone is dead. Knuckles is CHAOTIX. Knuckles is CHAOTIX is a Sonic the Hedgehog spin-off game that was released in 1995 for the Sega 32X. The game stars Knuckles the Echidna, Sonic's rival from Sonic the Hedgehog 3, and the game also introduces future Sonic staples such as Vector the Crocodile, Charmy Bee, and Espio the Chameleon. Despite the huge cast, however, the game has been largely forgotten, but there is an ending within it that is noteworthy for the series. You see, Sonic games usually task the player to collect the Chaos Emeralds. In order to obtain them, there's usually a special stage to beat in order to get the 7 gems. Failing to get the emeralds often results in Dr. Robotnik taunting the player at the end of the game. While Knuckles' CHAOTIX ends with the Doctor taunting the player as always, things definitely take a turn for the worse. Failing to obtain this game's versions of the emeralds, the Chaos Rings, results in a nightmare-inducing sight. And as you can see here on the screen, this sight is the game's bad ending, and it's horrible. With creepy music, the player gets to witness a city in flames. As it burns everywhere, a superpowered version of Metal Sonic looms over the destruction. Nice one, you messed up big. Number 9. JINPACHI wins. Tekken 5. And the first Tekken game starred Kazuya Mishima as he sought revenge against his father, Heihachi. As the series progressed, we soon were introduced to other members of the family, such as Kazuya's son, Jin Kazama. But in 2004's Tekken 5, players were introduced to the eldest Mishima in the series, JINPACHI. Imprisoned by Heihachi for years, he received the power of the devil and is freed after the events of Tekken 4. The 5th game then has JINPACHI as the final boss during the arcade mode. With a purple aura and a mouth in his stomach that can shoot fireballs, JINPACHI is easily one of the toughest bosses in the series' history. But in the event that the player opts not to continue after he hands you your own arse, the game gives an alternative to a game over screen. Instead, JINPACHI's ending is unlocked. With no one strong enough to beat him, the elderly man undergoes a final transformation. As he grows more monstrous, he heads into the sky. Lines of text then describe the destruction he causes and how the world will never be the same. Number 8. Betraying Your Friends. Far Cry 3. So Far Cry 3 is an open-world game where you control Jason Brody. When his friends are put in danger because of a man named Vas, the player must do whatever it takes to get back his companions. Along the way, Jason meets Citra, the warrior priestess of the rebel faction. While she initially starts out as an ally, Citra is later revealed to be an antagonist of the game, responsible for Vas's descent into madness. As Jason soon becomes more violent and capable, he is given a choice of saving his friends or joining Citra. Now, if you save your friends, Jason stops himself from killing his girlfriend while Citra herself is killed. But if you join her, the player slits your girlfriend's throat and you decide to stay on the island with this mysterious woman. This then leads to a sex scene between the two, which might seem enticing at first, but it leads to your death with your dying vision seeing Citra proclaiming herself to be pregnant. What a way to go out, right? Number 7. Failing a Palace. Persona 5. Persona 5 is a JRPG that puts the player in the shoes of Joker. When he discovers his persona and the world of the metaverse, he soon finds himself up against numerous threats. Banding together with his schoolmates, they form the Phantom Thieves and change the hearts of evildoers all across Tokyo. These usually involve infiltrating a mental palace of their targets. There, they then steal the target's treasure in order for them to have a change of heart. But the palaces have deadlines, and should the player hold off on it for too long, things end pretty badly for the team. As an example of this, during the mafia boss Kenoshiro's palace, he blackmails the thieves into owing him a huge debt. If they don't pay, he threatens to force Makoto, Joker's schoolmate, into a life of prostitution. Yeah, it's pretty heavy, right? Thankfully, the player can stop this by completing the palace, but if they don't, well, it ends badly for the young girl. By failing to infiltrate the palace, it's implied that Makoto was broken mentally and physically by the crime boss. Defiled and assaulted, she mutters your name, which leads to your arrest. The scene then ends with Joker at the interrogation room being shot and killed by a mysterious assailant. Now, I use the word entertaining very loosely here when talking about this bad ending, but seriously, the lengths that they went to here and how dark it got, it's so compelling in a truly horrific way. Number 6. A Suicide Death. Cyberpunk 2077. The RPG Cyberpunk 2077 puts players into the shoes of V. When V inserts a microchip inside their head, they find themselves haunted by the ghost of Johnny Silverhand, a man who was believed to have died many years ago. But as the story unfolds, players soon find out more about Johnny and his motivations. Eventually, the player reaches the endgame and has to decide on the fate of Arasaka Tower. At the time, the player also has to choose who gets control of V's body. Will it be V himself, or will Johnny completely take over? In order to prepare for the final battle, the player can enlist multiple allies that they have made throughout the game, from Arasaka's own Takamura to Panam. The player is then given multiple options on how to proceed with the game's ending. However, special dialogue with Johnny can actually lead to the player deciding on a different option. Rather than choose whether to keep the body or let Johnny take over, V can decide to end their life once and for all. As Johnny accepts V's choice, the game will end with the player shooting themselves. As the credits roll, many players will feel guilty due to the reactions of characters regarding your death. As they give their final messages towards V, they actually all end up chastising him for taking that route out. Number 5. Flying into the Sun. The Outer Worlds. So The Outer Worlds is a spiritual successor to the Fallout series and was actually developed by Obsidian Entertainment, responsible for the greatest Fallout video game ever, Fallout New Vegas. Do not at me, I know I'm right. As the Stranger, you will recruit new crew members as well as aid the man who broke you out of cryosleep. But one of the best things about this RPG are the attributes that you can assign your character at the start of the game. For example, a high strength stat will allow the character to carry more, while a high charm stat can unlock new dialogue options. And in order to obtain a special ending in the game, the character must have a pretty low intelligence stat. This allows special dialogue and interactions with other characters, and a special ending then occurs when the player is tasked to skip the Hope into a destination. In order to pull this off, most players will need the assistance of Ada, your ship's AI. However, if you're a low intelligence player, you can decide to skip the ship themselves, and your journey is cut hilariously short. Instead of skipping to the destination, the Hope actually crashes into the sun, killing everyone inside as well as your crew. Number 4. Giving into torture. Metal Gear Solid. 1998, Metal Gear Solid remains one of the most influential video games ever. Developed by Hideo Kojima, you play as Solid Snake, who must stop a terrorist threat as well as rescue hostages. The game was a huge success, and while there were previous Metal Gear entries before this one launched several successful sequels. With its intricate narrative, this game actually had 2 endings. One of these endings is the Otacon ending. This occurs when Snake gets captured by Revolver Ocelot and is subjected to torture. It's a pivotal moment in the game, as dying means a game over. Some players might even be enticed to submit in order to progress further into the story, but if the player does so, then Meryl, one of Snake's allies, dies. Snake then escapes with Otacon rather than Meryl, who would have escaped with the player had she lived. This ending would later be revealed to be non-canon due to Meryl's return in Metal Gear Solid 4 Guns of the Patriots. While her death would not be her true fate, it remains one of the most emotional moments in the series, with some fans preferring this over the true ending. At the same time, many players felt guilty about indirectly causing the death of Snake's love interest. Number 3. The Revolution is Lost. Detroit Become Human. Detroit Become Human is a 2018 adventure game that was developed by Quantic Dream. Here the player has different choices that lead to branching paths, and the game puts you in the shoes of 3 androids. The first is Connor, who is a detective hunting down deviants, which are androids that start to think for themselves. The second is Kara, an android who grows to care for a human child and is on the run. And finally, there's Marcus, an android who becomes the leader of a revolution against the humans. But with multiple choices, that means different outcomes. For these characters, the wrong decision can lead to their deaths, and the player can achieve the worst ending of the game by getting Kara and Marcus killed before the last hours of Detroit. Connor, whose deaths in the game result in a replacement android, can be taken out a different way. Players must choose not to solve the clues leading to Jericho, which is Connor's goal. Without any progress, the android detective is taken away and is decommissioned by his humans. This leads to an ending where the android uprising just abruptly ends. The United States has ordered all cities to round up all the androids and destroy them. The android's creator, Kamsky, then makes a public announcement. He vows to build androids that will remain obedient in order to prevent further uprising. Number 2. Locked Inside the Vault. Fallout New Vegas. In Fallout New Vegas, you play as the Courier. After being left for dead, the Courier is brought back to life and goes on one hell of a journey. Traversing through the Mojave Wasteland, the player must uncover the truth as to why they were shot. The game features a wide cast of characters as well as multiple factions such as Kaisar's Legion and the NCR. Every choice matters here, which can affect different variables during the ending montage of the game. With the DLC add-on Dead Money, you are sent on a new journey. After learning about the treasure of the Sierra Madre, the player enters the casino while encountering new and potentially hostile characters. This all culminates at the DLC's climax where the Courier finally reaches the vault. Despite the horrifying events of the game as well as multiple warnings, the player can still choose to remain enticed by the treasure. But should the player ignore all of the warnings, the Sierra Madre vault will close and lock you inside. With nowhere to go, the game will simply end with the mention of the Courier's passing. Dying a slow and painful death, the Courier soon becomes a memory inside the Sierra Madre, like all those who sought it previously. And number 1, shooting the Catalyst, Mass Effect 3. So Mass Effect 3 is the rather epic, until the final moments, conclusion to the RPG trilogy. As Commander Shepard, you are tasked to take down an intergalactic threat, and boy howdy, is it an intergalactic threat. These are the Reapers, ancient machines that seek to harvest and eliminate all organic life. In order to stop these machines, Shepard must unite every faction of the galaxy and bring the war back to Earth. But during the game's conclusion, the player is then given a crucial choice. Having been injured during the Battle of Earth, Shepard soon meets the AI called the Catalyst in the form of a little boy. He explains to Shepard the truth about the Reaper threat and then gives the player 3 choices in order to end the conflict. However, should the player feel unsatisfied with all of this, a trigger-happy Shepard can shoot the AI. Taking this as refusal, the Catalyst abandons the commander, leaving them to die. By refusing the Catalyst terms, the Reapers definitely win the war. Shepard's ally Liara then sends a time capsule intended for future generations. With the help of her message, the next generation succeeds and defeats the machines. Despite the victory, it's a bittersweet one with the knowledge that you and your friends were all wiped out by this war. And there we go, my friends. Those were the 10 most entertaining bad endings in video games. I hope that you enjoyed that, and please let me know what you thought about it down in the comments section below. As always, I've been Jules. You can go follow me over on Twitter at RetroJ, but the O is a 0, or you can swing by Instagram where it's the same handle, RetroJ, but the O is a 0. Hope to see you over there. But before I go, I just want to say one thing. Sometimes in life we can feel like we've been dealt a bad hand and that we're heading towards a bad ending, but I promise you, my friend, there are people out there who genuinely care about you and want you to do well. Friends, family, professionals in the support industry. These are people who you can talk to and hopefully share your problems in order to solve them quicker. And I encourage you to do so, because remember, you are never alone. And we all want you to get out there and smash your life goals today. As always, I've been Jules. You have been awesome. Never forget that, and I'll speak to you soon. Bye.